Hey guys, hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the latest installment of Learning Math with Mr. Bauman from Mr. Bauman's Basement. So, welcome back. New scenery behind us, new position of the camera, the chairs, but most importantly, newest addition to the studio here, none other than Miss Lily Bauman. Lily Bauman, welcome to Learning Math with Mr. Bauman from Mr. Bauman's Basement.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. Are you excited to be here?
Yes, I am. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me.
Good. Yeah, you're quite welcome. Does it feel a little bit different being in your own basement? You know, sitting right next to the pool table, ready to do some math as opposed to some of the normal things we do down here?
Yeah, it feels weird, but...
Yeah. If, on an ordinary day, what would be some of the things that we would be doing down here?
Playing pool.
Playing pool, okay.
Foosball.
Uh-huh.
Working on a puzzle.
Yeah. Who would win in a game of pool between you and I?
You.
How about foosball?
Me.
Yeah, pretty good at foosball.
Yeah.
Now, would you call it, just a quick question before we get in, before we dive headfirst into the math, would you call it the latest installment of Learning Math with Mr. Bauman from Mr. Bauman's Basement, or is it seemed more natural for you to just say, I'm going downstairs to talk about math with Dad?
That one.
That
Yeah,
one?
that one.
All right. Well, maybe next time we might change the title.
Change the title of the show.
But thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And you're pretty excited?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Does it feel like a studio here, or does it just feel like basement?
Basement.
Feels like basement. Yeah. You smell that? No. It smells like basement. All right, so we've got our supplies. You got.
Sorry.
Lily's got her marker.
Yeah, I got my own.
Awesome. I've got my own. Normally we share a lot, but today we're going with our own markers. Got the old trusty whiteboard. Got the magical eraser. That's right. And got the camera woman, Betsy Bauman. Miss Betsy Bauman is behind the camera today. So thanks, shout out to her. And most important, no good math lesson is complete without the old lukewarm cup of joe.
Hey, that reminds me. I came prepared.
Hey, Lily, how about that?
Ready? Sorry. Ready?
I'm ready. Pretty good. I give that like I give that like a B, possibly B plus if I was rounding. Let me show you. We didn't practice this. Ready? You always go. You okay? You always go cup.
Sorry.
You always go cup like swooping motion up towards the camera. Don't spill it. Don't spill it onto the camera. Swooping. Good. Then return to the mouth. It's a little sip. Gulp. And then it's the back swooping motion towards the camera. Try it.
So,
Swoop.
up.
A little like
Wait,
head nod.
cheers.
Cheers. Swoop back. Swoop forward. That's pretty good. I give that like A minus. So you.
Okay. All right, I'm improving.
All right. Are you doing it again? Okay.
No.
Okay. Maybe towards the middle of the lesson. And oh my gosh, we are almost out of battery. So let's get right into it. I just realized that the lesson just started. So here is Mr. Bauman's next, or Betsy's showing us notes. Bets, can you go get the cord and an extension cord and see if you can reach it to the wall? Because I don't think we have enough battery to complete this. So here's my first depiction of what we are going to be doing here today. In case you didn't know, that's a bridge. That's a bridge. This is where you guys are right now. This is where you're going to be in August. And we're crossing the summer of 2020. How about that? So
that's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Is that a decent bridge?
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of your better drawings.
Hey, thanks, Lily, because I didn't think it was that good. All right, so we are bridging the gap between 7th and 8th grade. We are officially done with all of these standards. This is where we're heading. So in the next few videos over the next 4 weeks, we are crossing the bridge, connecting the things that you learn in 7th grade to the things that you're going to be learning in 8th grade. So, the official title for today, the tech crew has arrived. Hopefully we got enough juice to keep this, feed the hamster here. Slope-Intercept Form. How exciting is that, Lily?
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting. So here's our objective for today. If you need to pause the video, go get your notebook and a pencil. We'll try to keep you guys awake here today.
I can't believe that reached.
We're going to be writing and graphing equations in slope-intercept form. Hey, I think
We got it.
the low battery symbol just went off, so I think it may have worked.
I just don't trip.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for the tech crew here today. All right. Lily, ready to get into this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Tech crew.
Woo!
All right. Let me erase with a magical eraser. Impressive, isn't it?
I can't believe I'm like seeing this in real life.
I know. Not just through
Yeah.
the YouTube video. It's impressive.
Yeah, it is very impressive.
All right. Let's just play hypothetical here for a second, Lily.
Okay.
Let's suppose that you decided for a summer job you
Okay.
wanted to cut grass. Okay? You're going to cut
Okay.
grass. Sound legit?
Sure.
All right.
Yep.
So let's suppose you decided that your expert cutting ability warrants, so you're able to justify $20 charge per yard for your customers.
That's pretty good for me.
Does it seem too high or too low or right on?
Seems high for the purchaser, but for me it'll be good because I'll be making the money. So
Yeah. Do you think your grass cutting abilities is worthy of $20?
no.
What about your grass cutting ability? Because you have cut grass
Yeah.
before. What about your grass cutting do you think is not quite worth $20?
It's the cutting in straight lines.
It's not your
It
thing?
is so hard to get them in straight lines. Mine always curve off, and then at the end I have to retouch all the uncurved parts.
All the missed parts? It'll
Yeah,
come with practice.
It's just extra work.
Didn't you? But let's suppose you're able to find a bunch of suckers that will
Yeah,
pay you
yeah.
$20 a yard
Okay.
for your unstraight lines.
Yeah.
All right? So that's the first piece of information we need. So let's just jot that down. So Lily charges $20 per yard. All right. If you have a straight edge, if you want to go grab your straight edge, and you're going to need to make a coordinate plane, but you only really need, because you can only have positive number of yards, you could have 0, but you can only have positive, and you can only make positive money. She's not going to lose any money, as unstraight as her lines are. She's not going to lose any money by cutting grass. So you really only need the first, you remember what this is called?
Quadrant.
Yeah, very good, Lily. That's the first quadrant. You only need the top right part of your coordinate plane. Okay? Go ahead and do that now. And I'm going to go ahead and label this. The x-axis is the number of yards that she's going to cut. The y-axis is her dollars. So this is her earnings. So if you want to go ahead and label this, this is the number of yards that she's cutting. This is the number of dollars. You want to go ahead and label that,
Yeah.
Lily?
So,
Okay?
yards on the bottom.
Correct. And we could go a whole bunch of yards. Let's just go 3. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and label it 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
Okay.
1, 2.
And then on the
Oops,
y-axis, let's skip count by 20. So we'll go 20, 40, 60, 80. Okay, so she's completing her graph. You guys go ahead and complete yours. Again, we're just going up to 3 yards, so we'll go up to about $60. If you went up to 80, that's fine. So what I'd like to start with is, what would her graph look like? And this is totally 7th grade. I haven't really jumped into the 8th grade part yet. So if she decided she's just going to sit on the couch all summer and watch Netflix, watch Disney Plus, and never gets on the lawnmower, how much money are you going to make?
None.
None. So
None.
graph that on your coordinate plane. You guys graph yours. Your point is where, Lily?
On the 0, 0.
Yeah, hold up a little bit higher. There you go.
Axis.
Good. Which is called the origin.
Origin.
This is the origin, right? So let's suppose she finally gets off the couch. She cuts 1 yard. If you cut 1 yard, she'd make
$20.
$20. 2 yards would be a total of
$40.
40, and we'll go up to 3 yards,
60.
60. So again, a lot of you probably don't have graph paper. We don't either. But hopefully yours, a little bit higher, you're good. Yours appears to be linear. That's very much an 8th grade algebra standard. this should be linear. So if you could, with your straight edge, the best you can, draw a straight line through those 4 points. 0, 0, 120, 240, 360. Out of habit, let's go and put an arrow at the end, showing that she could continue to cut yards past that 3rd yard as much as she wants. So really, honestly, the amount of money she could make over the summer is really
infinite.
That's right, it's infinite. Yeah, it's infinite. So let's talk about a little bit what we talked about in 7th grade. We would say that because this line is rising from left to right, Gunther, remember our good friend Gunther?
I remember him.
He's a great guy. Pretty crazy. He's a crazy mountain climber. Gunther is rising, falling, horizontal or vertical?
It was horizontal or vertical. So
Well,
vertical.
no, is he rising, falling, horizontal, or vertical? Those are your 4 choices. He's
Rising.
rising. Good. He's rising. At what rate? As she draws her Gunther, you can go ahead and draw your Gunther as well. At what rate is Gunther rising?
The slope.
The slope. Good. Another name for the rate of change is slope. And what number would you attach to that?
20.
Good. 20 what? Let's label it.
Dollars.
Per
Yard.
1 yard. Are you still drawing Gunther?
I'm trying.
This better be the most detailed Gunther we've ever
trying.
seen. You need the flowing locks of hair.
Well, it's hard because should he have it up in like man bun or something, or should it be like flowing?
This is your Gunther.
It's hard.
But the people are
Yeah,
watching
I know,
this,
I
and we
know.
got to keep them awake.
All right, there you go. Do glasses because glasses are cool.
Glasses are cool.
There you go. Gunther.
There's Gunther. That's a cool man bun. All right, so Gunther is rising. So Gunther's slope is what kind of number, Lily?
Positive.
Good, it's positive. So, can I borrow your board for a
Sure.
second? What letter do we use for slope?
M.
M, good. And we learned in 7th grade that slope is what over what?
Rise over run.
Perfect, yeah, very good. And hopefully you guys remember that as well. It's rise over run. Go and get that into your notes. And let's talk about how much he rose and how much he ran. So from this point to this point, I'm going to darken them in a little bit so you know which 2 I'm talking about. From this point to this point, how much did he rise?
20.
20, good. How much did he run?
1.
1, very good. So he rose 20. I'm going to make a little right triangle, which is something else we're going to be talking about a lot in 8th grade. He rose 20. He ran 1. So his rise over run, totally 7th grade standard, would be his slope is 20 over 1, which you could reduce just to 20. So what does that mean in terms of our equation? So to get our equation, this is starting to morph a little bit into 8th grade.
Okay, I thought you were gonna erase Gunther.
I eventually have to, but I mean, we got it documented here
Yeah.
on video,
Yeah,
so
there you
it's
go.
it's forever on the YouTube. So if we want the number of dollars, which is X or Y,
Why?
good. If we want the number of dollars that you make, we're going to take 20 and multiply it by the number of what's?
Yards.
Yards, which is X or Y.
X.
X. So our equation, totally 7th grade, would look like this. If we want the number of dollars that she's going to make, we would take $20 and multiply it by the number of yards, right? So let's suppose, I'll give it back to you. Let's suppose you really had a fire lit underneath you, and you're like, Dad, I'm going to go out and cut 100 yards this summer. That would be amazing, because I want you to calculate her dollars. You're not going to be able to fit it on your graph. The graph is a good picture, so if you're more of like a visual learner, a graph would be something good to look at. But I want to know how much money she would make for 100 yards. So where would you put 100? And for what?
X.
X, good. Let's go ahead and multiply that out. So we're looking for the Y, the output. Next year in 8th grade, we're going to call it something else. We're going to call it the range values. But for now, we're looking for the Y value when X is 100. How much money would you make?
$2,000.
$2,000. So her Y, I'm going to show the camera, her Y is equal to $2,000. I can't fit it on my graph, but if we had a big enough piece of graph paper,
There you go.
yeah, we scaled it down, or you could use the software that we started to look at this year called GeoGebra. You could type in this equation, and the graph would show that you truly would make $2,000 for 100 yards. Everything we've talked about so far is 7th grade. You ready to cross that bridge? At least take the
Yes.
first couple steps on the bridge.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Can I erase your Gunther?
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Can you hold that?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So let's change the story a little bit. Let's suppose that Lily, back at the beginning of the summer, instead of starting with $0 in her bank account, thank you. Let's suppose that Lily started with $30. She started with $30 in her bank account or her wallet or whatever. Starts with $30. But the rest of the story hasn't changed. She still gets $20. Still gets $20 per yard for cutting grass. All right. So part of the story changed, part of the story didn't change. So she starts with $30. Pause the video if you need to get this in into your notes. But she still gets $20 per yard. My question is, how is this going to change? Thank you. How is this going to change the graph? And how is this going to change the equation? That's the tougher question, I think. How is this going to change the graph? And how is this going to change the equation? This is starting to get in some 8th grade standards, some 8th grade math. To be quite honest, this is getting into some high school standards as well. So what I'm getting ready to show you is some definitely like fundamental, like nuts and bolts of 8th grade algebra, but also some 9th grade stuff as well. So pause the video and I want you to answer these two questions. What do you notice and what do you wonder? If she's making the same money per yard, what do you wonder? Are the lines going to look the same? Are they going to look different? What do you notice about the information? What's the same? What's different? So go ahead and pause the video as I get some space on this whiteboard, and we're going to talk about what this graph is going to look like. All right, unpause. Unpause. Like any good math problem. Ready? Swoop. Cheers. Ooh. Good. It's getting better. I give that's a solid A right there. Good. All right. All right. What is this graph going to look like? So actually, you know what? I take that back. Same coordinate plane. We already erased ours, so we're going to recreate what she already created. But this time, go up to about 100. So hopefully you have a little space towards the top of your y-axis. And I want you to go up to 100. And Lily, I'm going to let you finish this off. And if you have any space on the x-axis, go up to maybe like 4 yards. Pause the video if you need to. So x-axis is still the number of yards. The y-axis is still your dollars, your earnings. If you want to graph the last problem, so that was 0, 0, there you go, 120, 240, 360. Good. Draw a line. Gunther's rising at a rate of 20, right? Good. Okay. Now, what is the newest story problem going to look like? Now, if she cut 0 yards under this new situation, if she cut 0 yards, how much money is in your wallet?
30.
$30. That's right. No, it's no longer starting at 0. Now it's starting at $30. So let's plot that one. So on your y-axis, instead of starting down here at 0, start at 30. Let's go show the camera where you started this time. There you go. Now she started at 30, but now here's one of the questions we were wondering. At what rate is your line rising? At what rate is Gunther rising? How much money are you making per yard? Are you staring at my mustache? Did the mustache distract you?
Kind of. Still $20 per yard.
Very good. It's still $20 per yard. So at 1 yard, how much money would be in your bank account?
After 1 yard, 50.
50. Good. So at one it would be 50. At 2 yards it would be what?
70.
70. Good. At 3 yards it would be
90.
90. Good. And let's stop there because we're starting to run out of space on ours. Now draw your new line. It should be, I'm kind of backwards in the camera here. I think this is up for you guys. It should be rising at what rate?
$20 per yard.
Very good. So the two lines should be, this is like the word of the day. I feel like bells and whistles should be going off. The two lines are
parallel.
Parallel. Very good, because the slopes are the same, but the y-intercepts, which I'll get to that word here in a second, the starting points for these two lines are different, but the lines are rising at the same rate. If you draw a new Gunther, so you need to draw two Gunthers.
Two Gunthers.
Draw your second Gunther at home. Your two Gunthers should be rising, climbing a mountain at the same rate. So two different mountains rising at the same rate. They'll never cross, which makes them parallel. So two lines that have the same slope but start at different spots would be considered parallel. So he lost his man bun, like he lost his little his hair tie thing. So if you want to show camera, there you go. So hopefully your graph at home looks very similar to Lily's. Maybe your Gunthers don't look the same, but hopefully the lines look the same. Now the big question is, we answered the first part. What's the graph look like? But what's the equation look like? Can I borrow the board here a second? What's the equation going to look like? And this is starting to get in some 8th grade math here. If I want to know the money she makes, I still take $20 times the number of yards, but now I have to add the 30 that she started with. So my equation 5 minutes ago looked like that, but now I've added this extra component. I'm saying that she started with $30 in her wallet. This now is in this form. If you could box this in, put a star next to it, highlight it, do something to show, I feel like, again, like whistles and bells should be going off right now, because this is like this
confetti cannons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is, this right here, this is what the hokey pokey always talks about.
Oh my gosh.
This is what it's all about. You put your whole self in, you put your whole self out. You put your whole self in and you shake it all about, because this is what it's all about. This is called Slope-Intercept Form. Oh my gosh. Tonight at the dinner table, you need to tell Mom, Dad, Meemaw, Peepaw, whomever, all about Slope-Intercept Form. There it is. One of the first times you guys have seen it. Y equals mx plus b. We know that this guy, the m, represents the slope, but this one we haven't talked about yet, and that's what I want to do right now. Pause the video if you didn't get this yet. Let's talk about what this guy means. The B, carefully not erase your Gunthers here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything for you, Lily.
Thanks.
The B, this is called the y-intercept. Next year in 8th grade, at certain points, I'm going to call this the starting point. So this is kind of where your line kind of starts from. The technical term is called the y-intercept. So what does the word intercept mean? If you're sitting in LA class, and your amazing LA teacher, Mrs. Trumbull, shout out to Mrs. Trumbull, if she says, what is a synonym for intercept?
I was going to say a stem and intercept.
Okay. What would it be?
Between.
Between, okay. So this is a point.
Sorry, that's all I know.
When we were going through this a few minutes ago,
Yeah.
you said intercept is kind of like in sports when two things like
Come between each other.
come between each other.
Like,
they kind of
stop.
they could
other.
okay. They intersect.
Intersect.
They cross.
Intercept.
Intercept. Yeah, there you go. So it's where they cross. So where the kind of the other description that I want to give. This is where the line intersects. I'm a terrible speller. Intersects the y axis. So if you could get that in your notes. This is where the line intersects the y-axis. Notice our second line intersects at 30. That's why this number right here is 30. Our first intersection was 0. That's why our first equation didn't have this b. It was just 0. All right, that's a lot of algebra being thrown at you. So let me kind of throw a little bit of a curveball. Okay, let's throw a curveball. Let's suppose younger sister who also happens to cut grass. She actually does. They're both, in all honesty, they're both really pretty good at it. And the lines are not always straight. Who cares? Who cares? But let's suppose younger sister Betsy gets into that literally gets into the equation here, and let's suppose she starts her own business, and she's like, Lily, I'm a much better grass cutter than you. I'm going to charge my customers $30. No, $35 per yard. And let's suppose Betsy started with $50 in her wallet.
Gosh.
Where would her line cross the y-axis? If she started with $50 in her wallet, where would her line cross the y-axis?
50.
At 50. So I'm gonna go ahead and plot. I'll let you do it because you're really good at graphing. Her line crosses at 50 because that's how much money she has in her bank account, her wallet, whatever. She has 50. Now if she charged $35 per lawn because she's that good at cutting grass. All right, so you can show the camera. If she charges $35 per lawn, here's the big question. Is her line going to be parallel to yours? Is hers going to be more shallow than yours? Or is hers going to be steeper than yours?
Steeper.
Good. Why?
Because the amount per yard is more than mine.
Yeah, it's almost double, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean she's twice as good as you? Almost twice as good?
Business skills, maybe.
Hypothetically, yes. So let's go ahead. Let's just do 1 yard. If she cut 1 yard, she started at 50. Where would her next point be?
85.
85. Very good. And then just go ahead and draw a line through those 2 points. We're not going to sit here and do a bunch of points, but you can see that this next line. You can go ahead and graph your new line. Starts at 50, rises 35. It's going to be steeper. Betsy's line is going to be steeper than Lily's line. So Gunther is rising faster. Totally 8th grade. But remember, we're on the bridge. We're making our way over towards the 8th grade. So I'm trying to show you how we learned, or what we learned in 7th grade is really leading up to and going to help us out in 8th grade. All right? I dropped my notes here. Give me 1 second. I got a bad back. Oh, gosh. Okay. That's all right. You didn't drop it.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
I tried to put it over there and it came off.
You should have picked it up. All right. Last problem. A little parched. You ready? Swoop. Cheers.
That was good.
Swoop back. Hey, that was good. That was a good one. Oh my gosh, you are learning and growing all at the same time. All right, if you could, yeah, let's erase that one.
All of it?
Yes, please. The magical.
At least I get to use the eraser this time.
Does it feel magical?
Yes, it really does.
Yeah. It's been nice having you as an assistant. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're not done yet, though.
Oh.
And let's stop talking about cutting grass because it's making me tired just thinking about it. Let's talk about the Easter candle. We actually just watched Mass on TV. It's not Easter today. It's the Divine Mercy Sunday, actually. So let's talk about the Easter candle.
It's really tall.
It is really tall. Have you ever tried to lift the Easter candle?
I don't think so.
It's really heavy. It's really heavy.
I've tried to put out the flame after Mass one time.
Were you? Was it like soon after Easter when it's still really, really tall?
Just remember I couldn't reach it.
Yeah. So how'd you do it? Find someone taller?
Yeah, find someone taller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you use a like little snuffer thing, or you were trying to blow it out?
No, it's never. I'm not that tall.
So let's assume, if you want to write this as I say it, let's assume the Easter candle is on the Easter Vigil. So like on Easter, or the day before Easter, technically the Easter Vigil. Let's suppose the first time it's lit, it's 36 inches tall.
It's an baseball candle.
Yes, it is. And there's two.
We're good.
That would have been crazy if it was 36 feet tall. So let's suppose the Easter candle, day one, is 36 inches tall. Okay? You guys with me so far? Which I've never actually measured the Easter candle, but let's assume that's true.
Kind of close.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Let's also assume that every hour when it's lit, let's assume every hour when it's lit, it melts. So it decreases a half an inch per hour. So roughly every mass is roughly an hour. So it's weddings and holy days and funerals, and anytime the Easter candle is lit, let's suppose it melts a half an inch per hour.
Taking up the entire board.
That's okay. Same two questions. What's the graph going to look like? And by the way, we only need which quadrant? That's right, number one, because you can't have negative height of a candle, nor can you have negative time, unless you're Doc Brown. From
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. How many gigawatts do you need?
I know this. Is it 0.21?
So close.
1.21 gigawatts.
Good. Which can only be produced with
That triangle thing.
the flex capacitor.
It looks like a triangle thing. It looks like that.
You're right.
As in a box.
Yeah. But what natural occurring thing produces 1.21 gigawatts?
Lightning.
That's right. A bolt of lightning. Very good. You know your 80s trivia.
Yes.
All right. So what does the graph look like? And last question, what does the equation look like? So you need a new coordinate plane. Go ahead and draw our new coordinate plane.
What was the last
Only the first quadrant.
The equation.
Yeah, so Lily's writing out everything I'm saying. What does the graph look like and what does the equation look like?
Entire board right here. There you go.
Good. Pause the video if you need to. Thank you. Thank you for writing out literally everything I'm saying.
Now I have to erase everything.
Pause the video. Just the first quadrant. So what are we going to put down here on the x-axis? That's right, time. That's going to be measured in hours. Hours is going to be down here. So what has to be on here on the y-axis? You got it. That's the height in inches. So go ahead and make a y-axis and an x-axis. How high do we really have to go? The maximum height is what?
36.
36. So we really don't have to go any higher than 36, because our candle at most is 36.
How many x?
Maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4. And this is
3, 4.
perfect.
Hours.
We'll label hours, good, and inches up here on the y-axis. So let's talk about the y-intercept. Where would our line cross the y-axis?
36.
36, good, because that's at 0 hours. So the first moment the first flame hits that Easter candle, it's exactly 36 inches long. By the end of that first mass, assuming it's an hour long, how tall is the Easter candle when it's blown out at the end of that mass?
35 and a half.
Good,
inches.
35 and a half. Perfect. Okay. Next Mass. So like the next Easter Mass, the next Sunday Mass, it's going to drop another half an inch. So it's down to
35.
35. The next Mass, it's what?
34 and a half.
34 and a half. So we could sit here a long time and we could figure out exactly how long before the candle hit 0, before there was poof, nothing left. But this is a relatively shallow line, right? Is Gunther rising or falling from left to right?
Falling.
Falling, good. At what rate is he falling?
Half an inch per hour.
Perfect. Gosh, your middle name, when we named you,
Yeah.
it should have been, your middle name should have been Algebra. That has a nice ring to it. Lillian Algebra Boutman. Your initials would have been Lab.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay. All right.
I think
I'll
we
go with
might.
that, but
I think we might be putting him to sleep. So
Yeah.
let's get back to the
Yeah.
equation. Can you show him the line? Look at that. That is amazing. We can't see your x-axis. There we
There you
go.
go.
Good. Relatively shallow. If you want to draw a quick Gunther on your graph, you can draw a quick Gunther. But let's finish up with what's the equation going to look like. Using slope-intercept form that you just learned like 5 minutes ago. That's wonderful.
it's okay.
So slope-intercept form, y is equal to mx plus b. Let's talk about the slope. I think Lily just said the slope maybe a couple minutes ago. What's the slope?
Half an inch per hour.
Good. Rising or falling?
Falling.
Falling. So the slope has to be, and this is what we talked about in 7th grade, the slope has to be negative. Very good. So on the next line, y equals, you just said the slope has to be
Negative.
Negative what number? It falls how many inches per hour?
Half an inch.
Half. Good. So it's negative a half, x, and then the y-intercept, which we use the letter b, the y-intercept is
36.
36. Very good. And we'll box that in, that equation, which she's going to show you here in just a second. That is the answer. So when you do this assignment on the Google Doc, and I say, what's the equation of the line for this particular story problem that I give you? This would be your equation in slope-intercept form. Notice the negative here, because the candle height is dropping at half an inch per hour. The x is the hour, and it starts at 36. In 8th grade, we're going to talk about when would this line cross the x-axis. We're not there yet, but we're going to get there before you know it. All right? Lily, been a pleasure.
Yes.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah, it has been.
And you have been an amazing assistant. Should we leave them with like a question for them to answer on the Google Doc? Like
Sure.
just like a random, just something random for them to answer. Like should we do for like favorite food, favorite thing that you've done at home during this isolation? What's something that we could? How about should we do like favorite pizza topping, favorite topping on ice cream?
Yeah, let's do that one. Favorite ice cream topping.
Okay, so this is kind of just out of curiosity. I really am curious to see what your favorite ice cream topping is, but I'm also curious who actually made it to the end of the video.
Yeah.
Because if you
Sorry.
paused if you paused it before this question,
If you fast forward it after you're done talking.
yeah. So at the end of your Google Doc, just add another question. If you want to put it in like real big font, so it's real easy for me to see. What's your favorite ice cream topping? Lily, we'll just ask you right now. What's your favorite ice cream topping?
Like liquid or something like you physically put onto it?
Either or. Or does it depend on the flavor of ice cream?
No, it doesn't matter. But
Okay.
the cylinder rainbow sprinkles.
So like the container is
Like-
a cylinder, or the actual sprinkle
No,
is a
the
cylinder?
sprinkle, it's not like the hard little tiny sprinkles, but the strips. They're super good. Oh my gosh.
It makes me so
They're
proud,
cylinder.
not just as your dad, but as your math teacher as well, that you
cylinder.
described a sprinkle using a
It
geometric
is.
term.
It's a cylinder.
It is a cylinder. That's amazing.
It's
It's not a sphere. It's a cylinder.
it's literally. I mean, they're just sprinkles. They're like these types of sprinkles, not these types of sprinkles, because those don't taste good.
I'm a visual learner, and I'm liking that visually that you
Thanks.
give us. That's awesome.
It's so good. What's your favorite ice cream topping?
You know, I got a couple, but if I had to narrow it down to one, straight up hot fudge, like kind
It
of
has to be hot though.
lukewarm. Because if it's too hot, it melts your ice cream. Then you
True.
just have like soup, and it's got to be like kind of room temperature hot fudge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Good to know. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. I hope you're still awake. As always, I hope you're still awake. Thanks so much to our guest here in the studio for joining us today. You did a fantastic job.
Thanks.
Great job on your YouTube math debut. So, thanks for joining us. Hey, thank you guys. As always, as I finish these videos, be kind to one another. I know we're not in the most ideal conditions. Be kind to one another. Everyone needs a lot of kindness. Be patient with each other. It's not not the most easy thing that we're going through right now. So be patient with one another. And above all, don't forget to pray. Praying is the most important. It's the most perfect form of peace. Pray often. Pray for one another. Pray for our country. Pray for our world. And know that God is always with you. Thanks so much for joining us, Lily. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Have a great day, guys.